The second doctor on the panel, and Dr. Shahid Latif, who is an MRCP. He is the clinical director of Northamptonshire Healthcare and NHS Foundation Trust, a Rawalpindiite, graduated from Rawalpindi Medical College, and he's chair of the Royal College of Psychiatrists, Transcultural SIG. At the same time, another something amazing about him, that he is on the panel of experts for BBC Asian Network. So big round of applause for Dr. Shahid Latif, who is actually an expert psychiatrist, and as Shahid mentioned about the brain power. And we understand that it's all about the attitude toward that, the aptitude and the attitude, and the leadership, and for the leaders of tomorrow, in fact, the attitude, I think, and then it relates to the mindset and the brain. So definitely some short stuff, actually those who could be following your footsteps, but particularly something that can actually change the attitude or empower the attitude as for the leaders of tomorrow are concerned.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. First of all, a mythbuster. Let me tell you, psychiatrists don't read minds and they don't analyse people. Simple as that. So relax, calm, so no one's being analysed. When I started my psychiatric career about 20 years ago, when I was a trainee, I was one of the first lectures I attended was by a professor, a chap called Professor Robin Murray, and he put up a photograph of two wee little kids at a beach from the 50s or 60s or something, and he said, which one of these two kids do you think would have gone on to develop schizophrenia? And we chose one of the kids on there who looked quite silly, had his hair, mop of hair, and we said him, and he said, that's actually me. So one of the first thing I realized from day one of learning as a psychiatrist, do not assume. Now that's an example I always try to remind myself again and again, that whichever situation you're on, please, if you want to be successful as a starting point, do not assume. Do not underestimate. Do not assume. Be confident in where you are. That is really, really important. Now, what I'm going to do is, because a lot of things will be touched on as far as leadership and how to manage oneself has been touched on by the previous panel and the esteemed panel so far. I'm just going to touch on a few things here, more on a psychological level than anything else. Now, one of the things that we are aware of is the situation related to mindfulness. Now, who's heard the word mindfulness? What do you understand by mindfulness? Sorry. That was not mindfulness.
That's what I said.
Being present in the moment, not thinking about the past, the future, anything around you, just being present in the moment.
Very good. And how would you use that on a day-to-day basis?
The best form of stress relief is, being mindful, being aware of that, and also your purpose in life. Where are you heading to? Being able to look at the bigger picture.
Perfect. Excellent. You're a psychologist or psychiatrist. When we are in a situation, whatever the situation is, whether it's a stressful situation, whether it's in a board meeting, whatever it is, always be conscious of what you're doing, what you're going to say. Okay. Now, if I walk out of this door, someone barges into me really hard, one of my first reactions to that would be, this individual is a nasty person. How will that impact on me? Obviously, it's going to give me negative understanding of what the situation is, and that's how I'm going to feel. So that feeling is going to carry on in the next 5 minutes, the next 10 minutes, in the 15 minutes, maybe in the next hour, maybe the whole afternoon or the whole evening. what I'm going to forget is that feeling itself, the reason behind it. I'm going to forget all about that. But what I'm going to remember is that I'm feeling very negative and the emotions that are affecting me. Now that's really important. Now the focus on mindfulness is to be conscious all the time of the situation that one is in. The reason why I'm saying that is because when we want to become successful in life, we need to understand ourselves. If we don't understand ourselves, forget it. We have to become experts at ourselves. That's really important. If I asked any of you, no matter what your background is to write down 10 pages about something random, you'd think there, you sit there and you think for a moment, what shall I write about? If I tell you, listen, what I want you to do, you've got 1 hour, just write 10 pages about yourself. If you really put your mind to it, you'll be able to do it. And you'll think about, what is it that I'm doing right now? You'll write about your life story, you'll write about your strengths, about your weaknesses, etc. You'll be able to do it. But do we actually use that in day-to-day working? No, we don't. And the reason for that is because constantly we're in autopilot. We switch off that sense of mindfulness and we focus specifically on the moment, what's happening, what's the knee-jerk reaction, and what happens that can ultimately and may lead to failure. Okay? So it's really, really important to be aware and self-conscious of yourself. And good leaders are always self-conscious. They know where the goalpost is. They know where the goalpost should be. They need to know as to where they can align the goalpost. These are important factors in life. There's something again in psychological terms which we call locus of control. Has anyone heard that term? Locus of control is basically, there's two types. There's the internal locus of control and external locus of control. When something goes well for me, I said it's happened because of me. When something bad happens to me, I say it's happened because of that. That's human nature. It is human nature. If we pass our exams, we worked hard, didn't we? If we didn't work well, it was there was a new set of questions. Everybody got wrong, so it's not my fault. The locus of control is really important. Always lie the locus of control with yourself. What difference could I have made? And those will bring up your sets of weaknesses. It's really important. Now I've had the opportunity, being born in London at the age of 14, going back to Pakistan because my parents migrated there, and I spent about 14 years in Pakistan, and I'm proud of it. It was the best times of my life, and I'm really glad because I've got the opportunity to live in both countries, understand both cultures. When I came back to the UK, one of the things that really hit me, the first thing, and Dr. Sohail will be able to tell you this, that Pakistani doctors, I'm telling you, are second to none. Clinical skills, absolutely fantastic. What we lack, I suppose, what we lack is direction. What we lack is proper leaders. That's what we lack. And it's really, really important that we focus, like the, who was earlier on who spoke about having mentors. It's really important to identify somebody. I'm part of a initiative by the Royal College of Psychiatrists, which is called the Medical Training Initiative. It's something that we recruit doctors from Pakistan. Unfortunately, and we all know this, Pakistan is not flavour of the month at the moment. It is not. And we need to be honest with ourselves. That is not flavour of the month. And we need to be self-aware and conscious why that is. And events like this is absolutely fantastic. The World Congress, the British Foundation, there's a responsibility on ourselves to really showcase ourselves. And this is absolutely fantastic. What would have been even more fantastic if we had more than Pakistanis there? Bring the Indians on board. It's really, really important. We have to showcase ourselves. This is important. Now, one thing that when I started this initiative, the medical training initiative for psychiatry trainees to come to the UK, the first thing that hit me was I was informed by the interviewers who interviewed over through Skype, was that when it came to clinical skills, Pakistani doctors were absolutely fantastic. When it came to presentation skills, they didn't have the training. You see, now, we are born in this country. We've been trained in this country, but we do tend to, not all of us, and we are coming out of that, we do tend to live differently. How well are we able to improve ourselves? And like somebody again said earlier on, it's how we make ourselves better. I worked in the Republic of Ireland, and one of my consultants said to me, he's really straightforward, I love the guy. He said to me, Shahid, listen, you may be from England, but you're a Pakistani, you're brown-skinned. To pass these exams, especially the Viva exams, you have to work 10 times harder. You have to do that. And that's fine. And again, like somebody said, hard work pays off. You have to be different. You have to be above. You must know your work. My father always used to say to me, if you want to do something, do it properly, otherwise don't do it. And that's my take-home message.
My name is Shamir. I go to City University. I study civil engineering. Now, you said that you went from from UK to Pakistan at the age of 14. Normally, it's the other way around. You come to London. What challenges did you face in Pakistan when you went there?
Challenge? Yes, it was challenging. You have to remember it was in the 80s, so it was a different set of circumstances. Pakistan is very different now than it was in the 80s. I thought it was a holiday at the time, like I used to. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't. We initially what we did was it was my family that migrated to Pakistan. So it wasn't just me going like you would do in the opposite direction, where individuals would come here by themselves. Coming to England for students from different countries is not easy, especially if they come in the winter months to come to study and they don't know anybody. It was different traveling to Pakistan because I had relatives there, my family migrated there, so it's slightly different as far as that is concerned. Just one thing about what Dr. Seljuk Tai is saying, there's something which is called the neuroplastic effect. So when you do teach you something, your brain does change. The morphology or the structure of your brain does change. It's just like when you learn to ride a bike, then you do it automatically. That's because your brain structure has changed. Similarly, if you teach yourself things about awareness, your brain structure, the neurons, will change. Google it. It's called the neuroplastic effect, and that's what you need to train yourself to be more positive.
Yes, and we can do that. So, round of applause.